What up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Shinobi Squad Podcast. I'm fan service Renji.
I'm Shana Mostella.
Today, let's talk about cosplayers getting married. Over the last couple years, I've seen a lot of engagements and marriages. First off, I want to say congratulations to all of y'all out there in love. But some of these engagements and marriages just don't seem authentic, to say the least, or
Yeah.
for lack of better words. So, we'll get into that. Trust me, I'm a sucker for marriages and weddings. I be dropping tears at people's weddings. But sometimes I be seeing these unions of couples that I don't agree with. I'm sorry. It's not that I don't feel people should get married or whatnot. It's just because I know both parties.
Right.
And I know some of the behind the scenes stories, I can't be happy for them.
Right.
Let's get into it. All right. Let's talk about the forced marriages. I'm sure you've seen a lot of those.
Yeah.
A lot of time it's because one party feels because they've been with the other for over a year, they have to get married.
Right.
Not that they have their shit together, not that they're financially ready to, not that they both want to. They just have this unrealistic checklist that says, we've been dating for 6 months. You need to propose to me. We've been dating for a year. Now we need to get married.
It's that rush mentality. Like, what is the appeal of getting married so soon?
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Yeah, that's the key word, the rush. Why the rush? Yeah, we just talked about don't wait to do things in the last podcast, but marriage is a union
Yeah.
legally.
It's a mutual thing where if one person wants to do it and the other person doesn't want to do it, then why would you want to do it in the first place?
Yeah, I've been seeing a few of those from people I know. There's one incident where there's this couple. The guy is barely holding down a full-time job. He's just working at a grocery store, not doing what he wants to do with his life. He went to school for film and video production, but yet he's working at a grocery store. He's trying to get his career off the ground. He happens to be dating this girl that, for lack of better words, she's just kind of a gold-digging basic bitch. I mean, I have no other ways to describe her, right?
Right.
She just wants so much. She just has this fairy tale life that they can't afford. But because she's like used to being the it girl from high school, and mind you, she peaked in high school because she was the head cheerleader, and now she's a do nothing bitch. Now she's expecting this guy to just serve her the way her high school peers looked at her. Like, well, first off, boo-boo, I'm sorry, but you're not in high school anymore.
Right.
You're in your mid-20s, so that mentality has to drop. You may have been the bad bitch on campus back in high school when you were like 15, but you grown now. It's been 10 years since you were in high school, so just drop that mentality. This poor guy, a little bit on his background, for lack of better words, he's your stereotypical high school video geek. He would stay after to use the school's camera to do whatever he could, right? In his adult life, within the cosplay community, he happened to land a shot with the so-called local it girl. All the cosplayers in that town praised her because she was the cute new it girl on the scene. He shot his shot. And she's like, okay, we can date. And he thought he went home with the Michael Phelps Beijing gold medal, right?
Right.
Little did he know it was a bootleg gold medal from Chinatown. He was so blinded by the fact that he had the it girl. He didn't really look into the rest of her.
Right.
She was what the mean girls called a plastic. They continued dating. And through the years, his whole life has been, what do I have to do to keep her? Not, I love her so much, I'm going to give her the world. It's, oh crap, I got to keep her.
Right.
So let's fast forward to them now. So these two start dating for a couple years. Then dude all of a sudden feels pressured to propose to her. One of our mutual friends who's closer to them than I am tells me that this dude is so nervous. He's not nervous because he doesn't want to be with her. He's nervous because he's afraid he can't afford her.
Oh, God.
She pretty much picked out her own ring and was like, if you ever propose to me, this is what I want.
Mm-hmm.
Can you guess the price tag of the ring?
Most rings go for $1,000 or more.
She wanted something that was at least $2,500, which was way out of his grocery store job budget.
Mm-hmm.
These two were struggling just to pay their apartment rent just between them two. He's sitting there feeling pressured that he had to drop $2,500 on their engagement ring. Mind you, he didn't even make that kind of money in a couple months. He's all confessing to our mutual friend, I don't know what to do. She keeps pressuring me about marriage and I need to propose to her soon or she's going to leave me. How am I supposed to get this ring? Let me ask you from a woman's standpoint. Would you want a guy to propose to you under those circumstances?
No, because it's unnecessary. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Like, if you as a person, you know that you want these high expensive ticket items, like this is what you've been dreaming about your entire life since you were a child in kindergarten or whatever, and the guy that you're with or the girl that you're with can't afford it, I don't know, it's like you have to really think about that person long term. Like, would it be worth them not buying you that one thing that you've always wanted? Because then you have to think about, like, do you want to marry this person just because they could afford this ring, or do you want to actually be with this person for the rest of your life?
Yeah.
So, like, I kind of feel weird in that circumstance. Like,
I wouldn't want to marry someone because I felt forced to. I wouldn't want someone to marry me because they felt I forced them to.
And I wouldn't change my mind about that person if they couldn't afford certain things. If I love you, if I want to be with you for the rest of my life, I wouldn't want you based on the things you can afford. And if that's the case, then you don't really love that person.
Yeah. And that was my problem with that relationship and that marriage. Because even if you strip it back to the beginning, that whole relationship was built on false pretenses.
Yeah.
Dude should have been honest and be like, look, I can't afford your plastic lifestyle that you want me to give you. Yet that's what he kind of did. He kind of threw money at her just to try to, like, have an advantage over people.
Yeah.
For some reason, he felt this plastic was it and he was never going to do better. So he just gave up everything for this girl.
Right.
And he set the bar so high that it's hard to keep up with it now.
And that's kind of the main thing, me personally, that I have against marriage, is because a lot of people see marriage as an opportunity to do things.
Yeah.
I don't really see it as a union anymore. I kind of just see it as just something you can do in order to advance in your life or advance in certain ways. And that's why I can't really get behind marriage in most cases.
Yeah. In this case, he was working at the grocery store. She was like a barista at some coffee shop. It's like none of y'all are really in a place career-wise where you need to worry about spending that kind of money. She had just graduated college. He's been out of college struggling to land a career in his field of study. People have this, like, unrealistic timeline of when things need to happen.
Right.
Like, you don't have to get married ever if you really don't want to.
Right.
I should have felt bad that I was invited to their wedding and didn't go. Well, first off, I live here in LA now, and I wasn't going to travel back to the Midwest for a wedding that I didn't fully support.
Right.
To show y'all how serious I am about supporting weddings and stuff like that, or just weddings in general, I didn't even go to my own cousin's wedding. I don't have many cousins on my dad's side of the family. When I was living in Chicago, my cousins had a wedding in Michigan. It was a 3-hour drive, and I didn't go. I was booked for a different event, and I was like, look, I got prior engagements. I can't go to your wedding. I loved my cousin, but I didn't really know her husband. We're not close. So to me, it wasn't enough to make me cancel my prior engagements. And plus, I was getting paid to be at that event, so I wasn't going to break a contract. It's like, well, you should have told me about your wedding first.
Right.
They were mad at me, but I had to be true to myself. To me, marriage is super serious. If I don't rock with both parties, I can't give y'all my blessing.
Exactly.
It's like, I love my cousin, but sorry, I don't know her husband like that. I don't know if he's good to her. I don't know why they're getting married. Mind you, I love weddings. I cry at them all the time when I really believe in them. In this case, I just couldn't justify flying back home. When it came to these two, I just couldn't really support that wedding.
Mm-hmm.
First off, I didn't really like the husband. I don't know him that well, but the few exchanges I've had with him,
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't like how it went. He kind of rubbed me the wrong way.
Mm-hmm.
Dude had, not to get into all his business, but dude had a complex about being older than his spouse.
Mm-hmm.
He was like 10 years older than her.
Mm-hmm.
He felt insecure. He felt he was a little too old amongst his wife's cosplayer peers.
Mm-hmm.
He tried to push those insecurities on me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a guest at cons. I'm a performer. I'm around a lot of younger people.
Mm-hmm.
The cosplay audience is getting younger and younger every year.
Yeah.
He tried to like throw me under the bus, and it was just like, whoa, yeah, you know, like I'm the oldest one here, but at least I'm not hanging out with a bunch of high schoolers like Renji.
Right.
I was like, wait, excuse me? First of all, ain't no one even asked about how old you are in comparison to your future wife.
Right.
But then don't be throwing me under the bus like I'm just this pedophile out here hanging out with high schoolers.
Right.
Yes, I'm a guest at cons.
Mm-hmm.
I perform in front of all ages.
Mm-hmm.
But don't be making it seem like I just be out here calling people up after the show like, hey, you in high school, let's hang out.
Right. Exactly.
Because if you trying to throw that on me, you the one dating a girl straight out of high school. So, boom, shade to your dumb ass.
Exactly.
Yet, we all knew this fact. No one brought it up. We're like,
Mhm.
you know what? They're both of legal age. If they like each other, if they love each other, cool. That's their business, you know?
Right.
A lot of our parents are 8 to 10 years older than their spouse.
Mhm.
That's nothing new to the world, you know?
Mhm.
We're at a con. Nice enough to invite them up to my room for a room party. I had nothing but legal aged people in my room.
Mhm.
Again, he brought up this shit. His same insecurity.
Mhm.
Saying the same kind of shit. Like, well, I know I'm older than my wife, but at least I don't have a line of high school girls waiting for my autograph like Renji.
Wow. It's like, I'm not trying to marry anybody. You are.
Yeah.
Wow.
Once again, you're marrying the head cheerleader from high school.
Exactly.
Mind you, she just graduated 2 years ago. If you really want to get into it, when you graduated high school, she was still in elementary school. So shut up.
Exactly.
Get out of my face with that shit. If you really want to go down that road.
Same person who's just trying to impress this young girl with
Mhm.
material things and marrying her for all the wrong reasons.
Mm-hmm. Needless to say, I didn't go to their wedding. And they felt the type of way.
Mm-hmm.
But I was honest with them. They kept asking me, well, why? Why? You come back to cons over here. The difference is cons are paying me to be there.
Mhm.
You are not. If you want to pay me to show up at your wedding, that's different.
Mm-hmm.
I'm friends with you, the wife. She's the
Mhm.
one that invited me. I'm not friends with your husband. I'm in LA. I'm really busy right now. I've passed up other weddings. Please don't take it personal.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to lie to you and sugarcoat that I really want to go because, to be honest, I don't.
Mm-hmm.
I have other priorities. I'm sorry. Anyways, that didn't end well.
Mm-hmm.
Some people clapped back at me and was like, I wish I was invited to the wedding. It's an honor to be invited to a wedding. Let me throw that at you, Shana.
Oh, God.
Because, like, as I said, I'm kind of insensitive to weddings. I make it too personal or whatever I do, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about being invited to a wedding? Is it an honor or is it a burden? Like, please, I'm just curious to see how some people feel about this.
Honestly, on the opposite spectrum of what you were just trying to say, I am totally insensitive to weddings, and
Damn.
I don't feel personally about any of it because I just feel like a lot of weddings, regardless of how you feel about someone, weddings to me are just such a gimmick.
Damn.
It's just so like, it's a time for you to showboat. It's a time for you to brag to your friends and your family. It's like, look what I can do. You know, look what I can afford. Look at what it's just one of those things where I just feel uncomfortable. I'm just like, I don't care how much money you have. I don't care where you choose to have your wedding. Like, a lot of these weddings, I just feel like is a time for you to brag and a time for you to just show off what you have. I'm not with it because honestly, with my own family in general, I'm not about keeping up with the Joneses and just being out there and bragging. And I've never been a part of that life. because my life has never been that way, so I
Yeah.
don't understand it. It's like I don't have to prove anything to anybody. I come from a very old school mentality of marriage in the first place. My grandparents, for example, were married 50 plus years,
Damn.
and they had been together for aeons. It seems
Aeons.
like aeons, and it's just marriage seems to be very, very, very important. I hold it so dear and true to my heart, to where you see these reality shows like my super awesome wedding, or my this whatever wedding. Like I've always seen those kind of shows. Bridezilla, for example. And it's like, why do you act like that? Why do you do that? And that's just me coming from a very old school point of view.
Yeah, so you're saying like marriages used to be sacred, but now it's kind of like dwindling from that. Okay.
Doing the most, showing off what you have, and showing off where you choose to have your wedding, and color schemes and themes, and this is the party. And it's like,
it's not about the union, it's about the show.
And I don't feel like it's important anymore to people. It's just, here's my time to shine. It's just, I don't like being invited to weddings because of those things. And most of the time, 10 times out of 10, I never go to them. Ever. And it's not just because of that. It's mostly because now that I do live in LA, like you just said, I don't like going back and forth to places. I'm bad enough going on my own vacations, sitting on planes. It's just one of those things where I don't like them. I really don't like weddings at all.
I feel you.
Unless I really, really, really do support the union. Again, I don't really see a lot of that in my life. I don't see a lot of people that I genuinely want to see together. If you're happy, I'm happy for you.
Yeah.
But there's not a lot of marriages that I see that personally that I'm happy for.
Yeah.
And I'm just being honest here. There's not a lot that I could say in regards to weddings and stuff like that. I don't go to them. I don't like being invited to them. Please don't.
Do yourself a favor and don't invite Shana.
Don't invite me.
I used to think it wasn't a big deal not to go, but as I said, I'm seeing all these people get offended because they weren't invited. I could get if that was your best homie, that was your best friend, that your ride or die, and they didn't invite you. I'd feel type of way about that. But if you're just like cosplay friends or acquaintances, I don't see why people take it so personally.
I don't.
A lot of people don't keep in mind that weddings are expensive. First off, like a lot of venues, they make you pre-buy the dinner plan. So you have to account for how many people are going to be there. Then you also have to expect everyone's going to want a plus one. If you invite someone that has a girlfriend, they're going to want to bring their girlfriend or their wife. Say you can only afford 100 people. Well, that's already really, you can only invite 50 people because each of those 50 have their plus ones.
Right.
Then you have to split that between the bride and the groom. So each party gets to only 25 people each. With that said, you can see why some people don't get invited to weddings.
I don't even know 25 people, to be honest.
Oh, unfortunately, I do. So it's like, so guests don't keep that in mind.
Right.
There's so many people that want to be invited. Family just automatically expects to get invited. Some people have big families. You could use up that 25 on a family right away. Yet people are still getting mad. That's why I don't get mad about that, because I know those details about weddings and stuff.
Right.
Then, on the other hand, people like us don't want to go to weddings because it is an ordeal.
Yeah.
Some people not only expect you to show up, they expect you to contribute, I guess I should say.
Yeah, because a real legit wedding, you want to have an open bar, you want to have food for people. So with that comes money. You're going to want to pay for that kind of thing. Because if I'm going to a wedding, I need an open bar, I need some good food, entertainment. I need to be like...
Oh, yeah. I've been to some craptastic weddings in my past.
Craptastic.
I've been to a wedding where the bar was not open and you had to buy alcohol there.
Yeah.
I come from an Asian family, right?
Right.
Asian weddings, everything is there. Endless alcohol, great food. That's what I was used to. Right. That also comes at a cost.
Right.
At a Southeast Asian wedding, the family will donate a huge sum of money. It may be $100 or $200 per family, or it's $20 to $50 per person. Like, my parents used to give me money to hand to the bride and groom. But once you got there, they was bringing out multiple course meals, or there was an open buffet. There was open bars. Like, I remember going to a wedding where there was just bottles of Hennessy at every table. And then there was a keg.
That's my kind of party.
Yeah, right? There was a keg in the corner where you could just pump and help yourself. Then I went to a wedding where it was one of my childhood best friends. They opted to have a cash bar. Our parents showed up because my friend was Asian and he married a white girl. And the white side of the family was like, you know what? Cash bar, we're not paying for alcohol. My Asian family was just like, what kind of bullshit is this?
Right.
And the venue was like, no outside drinks. Oh my God. I had never seen Asian parents so pissed off in my life.
Right.
Just like I said, we're used to being the guests. We donate our money and then we just eat and drink for free all night. This blew their mind. Even the groom's mother was like, you didn't tell me about this bullshit?
Right.
They were mad. They were like high school kids sneaking alcohol in the parking lot, just drinking amongst themselves.
Yeah, because if I'm gonna have this elaborate party, I want something for my guests. I can't just go dry. Like if I already don't support your matrimonial union, I need something to help me along the way.
At least have a good time.
Exactly.
But yeah, needless to say, that was not a good time. But you pay that forward to these other weddings and stuff, right? I get Asian culture is different.
Yeah.
So stepping into like an Americanized wedding, the bride and groom have to account for exact amount of guests. And some of these weddings be costing $50 a person. So I don't blame them for not inviting everybody that wants to come.
Exactly.
Hell, when I get married, I'm gonna have one close wedding for my family and actual close friends, and then I'm gonna have another wedding where I'm gonna charge admission at the door. If you want to come, drop $50. You can come and eat and drink all night.
It's gonna be a party.
Exactly. But that's what you got to do. But anyways, back to what I was saying. Like, some of these weddings, you have to contribute. They expect a gift.
Right.
Bitch, I just flew across the country. I ain't got no gift money.
I am the gift.
Exactly. The gift of my presence is your present. It's like, I can't afford to even fly over there. I got to take time off. Now you want me to drop $100 on your Target wish list? Nah. Sorry, boo-boo. I can't do that. I'd rather stay home.
I don't mind giving gifts. I don't mind that kind of thing. Because I'll give an example of one of my friends who recently got married. They chose to get married privately in a different country, and that was great. In order for me to afford that, especially at the time, because I had a death in the family.
Yeah.
And I had already gone back to my hometown twice that year within a 2-week span.
Yeah.
And that cost money, a lot of money. And this was before COVID ever happened. And prices were $500, $400, stuff like that per trip. Unfortunately, that friend was having their wedding during that time where I had already been back and forth. And they're like, oh, well, by the way, later on this year, we're going to have our wedding reception thing, like inside of their hometown, because they did their whole wedding outside of the country and they came back. And I can't do that. You know, I can't keep going back and forth because A, I don't have the money to do that. And B, I already went through a family tragedy.
Yeah.
I don't want to go back so soon because it's too fresh.
Yeah.
And I felt bad because that person means a lot to me. And that's one wedding that I wouldn't have wanted to miss. But because of those circumstances, and then, you know, I feel bad, but it's like, and some people do get mad about that. They want you to be there regardless of what's going on, regardless of anything. It's just about them.
You gotta take care of yourself first.
I don't have the heart for that.
Yeah.
And during that time, it was just so hard. And that whole year was a mess for me. And I can't just keep going back and forth, and then come to your wedding. And it's just like, I don't have the heart for it, you know? And if I felt bad. I really did feel bad.
Yeah, and some people don't think about that. Like, you have to take care of yourself first.
Right.
You had a death in the family, a very tragic death. It's hard enough to be back in that area.
Right.
because those painful memories bring up. But then just financially and being a responsible adult, you already missed weeks of work. You can't just pick up and go again.
Yeah. At the time, I was just very, like, tragically in my own head, and I didn't want to step out of bounds or be at the wedding and just be sad, you know? It was just one of those. So weddings for me have been really, really difficult to do. Either I didn't want to go in the first place, or I just really physically, mentally just could not be there.
Yeah. I don't know. I just be feeling that people in the cosplay community especially just be rushing their marriages.
Oh, yeah.
For some reason, they have a timeline and a checklist. They feel by this time, we need to be engaged. By this time, we need to be married.
Right.
It doesn't matter if they're financially ready or mentally ready. They still do it because they have this unrealistic timeline.
Right.
There was a case of a couple I knew. The guy just proposed to her after a year. He felt like it was the thing to do. Guess what? They didn't get married for like 5 years. She used to publicly complain on Facebook. Guess being engaged doesn't mean shit if you don't have a wedding date in mind.
Right. Could you imagine being engaged to someone for 5 years?
It's like the excitement just goes out the window.
It's like you're holding a spot. You're paying for a spot in that person's life, like reserving yourself in that person's life for 5 years. I don't know. I just can't get behind it.
It would be one thing if we're like, hey, we're engaged. Let's get married in 2 years. Weddings do take time to plan. I get that. Sometimes you don't get the venue you want, especially if you want like a summer wedding. A lot of these venues are reserved a year in advance.
Right. But 5 years, though?
Yeah.
5+ years?
This girl was so upset, and I'm sure that put the pressure on him.
Right.
It just made me think, like, did you just propose because that was the thing to do? If the girl proposed to me, for example, I'd be mad if we didn't have a wedding date in mind. It's one thing if you propose and be like, okay, we'll get married in 2 years, 3 years. At least you know. At least you know. But this was like just an indefinite marriage.
Right.
I see that a lot within the cosplay community, though. It makes me wonder why some people even propose. It's like, are you bored in your life?
Bored.
No, it's like it's a serious question. It's like, are you
Right.
bored and you just want something to feel good about? Or on the darker spectrum, do you have nothing else going on in your life that you need something to validate yourself?
Right.
I feel bad about those people too. It's like, my career isn't going, this isn't working out, but at least I have a marriage to talk about.
Yeah, it's like, then what's the rush? What do you want out of this?
And then the next thing is, okay, so when you finally get married, what next? I'm sure you've seen it. People getting engaged and married just for social media clout.
Oh, yeah.
They have nothing else going on in their life, but
Yeah.
let's throw this marriage out there just so people can like us for a week or two. And then it's like, but then what's next? If you got married for clout, oh my God, I feel sorry for you.
I know.
I see those people too. Why I feel that their marriage is for clout? Because they posted pictures and video of their honeymoon. Yo, you can tell when people aren't having fun.
Yeah, I had a friend who had a forced honeymoon, and I saw their Instagram pictures and their Facebook pictures like, oh, look, we're at the resort dance. We're at the resort hot tub. We're at the resort. It's like, did you spend your entire honeymoon at the resort? I'm sorry. I'm the type of person, when I go on vacation, I like to see things. I don't like to just stay at a resort.
Yeah, if you go to a different country.
Yeah, exactly. So I just saw these pictures like, look what we're doing. Like, they were saying, oh, we're at the resort dance, like this like thing that they had for the people who were staying at the resort, and nobody in the picture was dancing, and they're just like, yay. And then, I'm sorry, if that's what they wanted to do, if they really did have fun doing that, I feel bad for laughing, but like, it was one of those things where you knew
It fell for us.
it fell for us, and you're just
Yeah.
like looking at these pictures like, you don't look like you're having fun.
Oh, yeah. I totally feel like I was friends with a couple that had a vacation in the Caribbean.
Yeah.
And they were trying to live stream their honeymoon. It looked like the most boring shit in the world. They were like the youngest people there at the resort. Everyone else was at least twice their age. These two are in their 20s, but everyone else at the resort was in their 50s and 60s.
Yeah.
It's like, look at us, we're in a senior citizen trip. It's like, did y'all read the pamphlet and what kind of vacation you signed up for? And I can tell that they were trying so hard to get that social media clout, but you could tell on their face they weren't having a good time.
Oh my God.
It was an all-inclusive trip, but I guess the one thing that the brochure didn't include was fun. They just looked miserable, and I'm just like, wow, y'all doing all this for social media.
I was 16 when I went to Jamaica
Yeah.
for the first time, and it was an all-inclusive family trip, right? 16. And we were so tired of the all-inclusive this,
Yeah.
all-inclusive that we went outside of our resort and
Snap.
went to a restaurant, went to a whole trip by itself outside of the resort.
Oh, y'all brave.
And
Jamaica dangerous.
That's what I'm talking about. Like, that's that kind of stuff I'm talking about. I cannot do resort stuff. Like, if that's all you do, I'm sorry, I can't get behind it. I don't care if that's like your favorite thing in the world. That's not fun.
Yeah, you pretty much spent your whole trip in another country in a hotel. You paid money to go overseas to hang out in a hotel.
And I'm sorry, that's not fun. And when I want to marry the person that I want to spend the rest of my life with, I will not just do something like that. I want to go and jump off a cliff. I want to go and like do these and that. And y'all watching this, if you're saying like, oh, that sounds like something I wouldn't want to do and whatever, like that's too much, then stay home. I don't know what else to tell you.
Wait.
I don't know.
Let's not skip across the point. You went to Jamaica and left the resort.
My family asked the people that ran the resort and said, hey, what would you do if you weren't working right now? And that's exactly what we did. That's exactly where we went.
You want to go smoke some of the best weed in your life and shoot guns at the rebel forces.
That is not it. Jamaica is a very fun country, regardless of what everybody else says.
But it's a very dangerous country, too. If you hear
Says who?
the locals talk. I was watching Snoop Dogg's documentary about when he made his reggae album. He recorded the whole thing in Jamaica.
Mm-hmm.
He got in touch with the locals and stuff like that. And even Snoop, being triple OG gangster from LA, Long Beach, or whatever, he's like, y'all don't come to Jamaica without checking in with somebody. You gonna get killed out here. Even Snoop was
go big or go home.
Well,
Go big or
unless
go
you
home.
Sean and you're like, yeah, I'm 16 in Jamaica. I don't care. Bang,
I was
bang,
with my
bitch.
family, and we all had the same mutual agreement.
But then
that-
again, Shauna's from the hood to Chicago, so Jamaica ain't that far off.
It was a very beautiful country, and where we went was even more beautiful. So I can't say anything about that. I don't even know what you're talking about because we didn't see those sides of Jamaica. We saw the beautiful sides outside of our resort.
Yeah.
So, whatever.
But anyways, back to what we're talking about. It's like a lot of our cosplay peers, our otakus, they're forcing themselves to get married or they're rushing it. They're just rushing into it because they feel that's what they have to do.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry to say that's not what you have to do.
Yeah.
I have friends who have weddings planned. They have places booked. Unfortunately, COVID hit. Instead of just waiting it out and rescheduling their marriage, they just rushed to the courthouse and got married. And that's fine. But if you were going to have the wedding anyway, why not just wait? Why not just wait to be married when you're having your wedding?
Right.
Yet for some reason they felt the pressure. They had to rush just to satisfy their desire to get married. Part of me doesn't really agree with that. Sometimes, yes, that's your only option. You can't afford a wedding. So, hey, let's just go to the courthouse and do it. But if you were going to have the wedding, just wait it out.
I feel the same exact way. I don't like courthouse weddings, even if it's just you just purely just love each other and that's just what you want to do and you want to get married and you want to skip the whole fiasco and stuff like that. I still don't agree with it. You can do anything. Like you don't have to showboat. You don't have to, show how rich you are, what you have and stuff like that. You don't have to do that. But I cannot get behind the courthouse weddings. I just can't. I can't. To me, it's tacky.
Yeah.
To me, it's tacky because at the very least, you can have your friends and family together. You can have a dinner. You don't have to go the whole 9 yards with a wedding. You can have your closest friends and family together at your house.
Yeah.
Or at wherever you live. And it could still be the same thing. But at a courthouse, it just, I don't know. Like, it doesn't sit well with me. It just never has.
No, it doesn't.
Never has, never will. And I just can't get behind it.
A quick story about both of those things you just touched. So let me talk about the courthouse situation. I had a friend that super excited to marry his fiance.
Mm-hmm.
They've been having a relationship long distance.
Mm-hmm.
My friend lived here in SoCal.
Mm-hmm.
His fiance lived in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
I was excited. They had this long distance relationship, this international relationship. They met in college.
Mm-hmm.
Fiance had to go back to Japan. He asked me to be the photographer's wedding. I was like, dude, that's so dope. I'm a sucker for successful long distance relationship because that's been the story of my life, relationship wise. We had talked about it for a whole year. I'm sitting there trying to make plans of where they can get pictures. And then all of a sudden, the fiance flies from Japan. He's got a visa. Fiance flies from Japan. I'm thinking, cool, we're going to do these wedding photos. Next thing I know, they rush to get a courthouse wedding without telling anybody. I had to learn about it on Instagram. I saw their stories. Like, oh, we got married. I'm like, bitch, did we not just spend all these weeks planning your photo shoots for your wedding and you just rushed it? I spent all this time figuring out places we could shoot without permits, because here in Los Angeles, you pretty much need a permit to shoot anywhere. Just trying to save this dude money just for him to be like, oh, you know what? I changed my mind. Bro, I just wasted a year of my life planning for this wedding. And I'm like, why? Oh, because we didn't want to spend the money. We just wanted to hurry up and get married. What is the rush? A lot of cosplayers like to have themed weddings. Quote unquote cosplay weddings. What are your thoughts on that? Come on, Shana, time to keep it real.
I think it's tacky.
Ooh.
I think it's tacky. Honestly, I get, like, if you've had this wedding in mind, you want to do, like, this whole anime themed, I don't even know, cartoon, whatever it is. I love cosplay. I love the anime culture. I love the cosplay culture. I love everything about that.
Yeah.
But with weddings, I'm just like, God, like, no. Something about it just doesn't sit well with me. And it just seems so tacky because of how people do it.
Yeah.
And you can dress how you want to. Like, I love fantasy. I love that aspect of it. I love fairies. I love like the whole like elegant and whatever themes, but a lot of it is just plain tacky.
So is it the themes that are tacky or just the execution of the themes?
The execution of the themes.
Okay.
And I feel bad for saying it, but it's just one of those things where I see people like with their themes and their whatever and during their weddings, and it's just like, why? I don't like it. I don't like it at all. But when you mix cosplay in there, a lot of people just don't do it right or like all the way. The biggest thing I've seen across the board is lightsaber first dance.
I was about just to say that. I was just about to say something like that.
I'm like, okay, you're having fun. I get it. But y'all, like, can you cut the theatrics? My God, like... What were you going to say about it?
Well, I was going to say, I know a couple that had a lightsaber first dance. They kind of went viral for it, but I couldn't give them credit or be happy for it because they stole that idea from somebody else and they executed it poorly.
That's what I was going to say. Like, they have the sound effects, they had the theatrics and whatever. But the people that went viral compared to the first couple that I saw that actually did it pretty tastefully, these people went viral, and it was just like, okay, here's me with the saber. They're like, meh, 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 meh.
It was so half-assed. All right.
They're like, I got you. It's like,
for the Star Wars fans, Remember when Darth Vader finally fought Obi-Wan Kenobi in the original trilogy, and you saw how stiff and slow the thrusts were?
But these people were even lesser than that. They're just like,
It was so bad.
Hey, I got you.
It was so bad. I saw the other Star Wars First Dance and their choreography. That shit was on point, and it was just an insult.
They had choreography.
They had sound effects
everything
timed, but these two had the worst bootleg knockoff of it. I'm talking like dollar store action figure bootlegs from China. It was so bad.
They may have have just been holding sticks of plastic and just like kind of tapping each other with the sticks.
Yeah,
it's like,
it was the most awkward 4 minutes of my life.
What are you doing? Like, if you're gonna do it right.
Yet they went viral. Star Wars wedding fight. Like that wasn't even a fight. That was like kids playing pretend, but worse.
You might as well just play hide and seek.
Exactly. Like the wedding.
If you're gonna do it all the way. Don't half-ass it, because these people went through all that trouble just to have lightsabers in the first place, and then go through the extra mile to edit it to make it look like actual lightsabers.
And to learn the choreography.
Exactly, but they didn't do any of those things. They just
it looked like these two just made it up on the spot.
I know. I know. And it was horrible. And it's like, dude, come on. Like, you're going to have people come out and see this.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have people fly out of state, out of country, out of wherever they are. You're going to have people fly from Saturn and come see this shit. Like, come on. Come on.
Yeah.
It might just be sounding insensitive or whatever, but if you're going to do something like that, do it right.
Yeah.
Don't half-ass it, because if you're going to go through all that trouble, wouldn't you want to show and present it better?
Yeah, it's like this is one of the biggest moments of your life. And you're not only spending all this money, you're also commanding a lot of people's time. You want people to walk away remembering, wow, that was lame. Like, you want people to walk away feeling good about your union, but you're half-assing yourself and making people just not take your union seriously.
I will never forget this episode of Say Yes to the Dress. I don't know if you guys know that show, but it's basically like a show based around this retail store that sells wedding dresses, like that has wedding dresses designed by like actual designers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They had this one episode, this one cosplay episode where they kind of just threw dirt at us cosplayers for those tacky wedding situations where people picked the most tackiest dresses they could find, paired it with like cosplay and stuff like that, and they just kind of made fun of cosplayers in that way. But it was just showcasing people who did things tacky. I felt so bad. I'm like, they could have did this so much better. And like, the show was at fault itself for showing those kind of lights around cosplayers and stuff like that. This one couple got married, and the groom was a knight and a bride was the fairy. They had their wedding in a forest, which is pretty cool. Like, if you want to really save money, if you really want to just get married from like the idea of just getting married, that's great. That's a great idea. But then they just showed parts of the wedding where it was like the knight courting the bride, and it was, oh my god, like they picked the weirdest outfit for the groom. Like, he wasn't even dressed as a knight. Yeah. He had this chainmail outfit. Yeah. He didn't even have a sword or anything. He was just like this chainmail groom, and this fairy bride. She had bought the dress from that the show's store or whatever, and put fairy wings on it. But I just felt so bad, because I'm like, they just didn't do this any justice at all. And it's like, you're making fun of cosplayers. Yeah. It was horrible. It was so horrible.
Yeah. As a cosplayer and as a nerd and a weeb myself, I do sometimes fantasize about like a themed weeb wedding. But at the same time, I also respect tradition. I feel some things have to be upheld. Especially being from a family that's from Southeast Asia, you want to preserve your culture. I think about how my family and future generations would feel about my themed wedding. It's bad enough that I have to have an American wedding and then an Asian wedding for the Asian side of the family. It's like, I already have to have 2 weddings. Do I need a Weeb wedding too? Do I need a 3rd wedding where we all come in cosplay and I charge admission at the door? So at the end of the day, though, is like, I want to make sure it's done right. I don't want that say yes to the dress moment where people are making fun of us
Right.
for having this themed wedding.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I shouldn't care. But you know what? It's going to get out there. Someone's going to post these pictures. And I don't want my wedding to be the talk of the town, the joke, you know?
Yeah, it's like that episode of Say Yes to the Dress was like, oh, look at these silly weddings. Look at these silly
Look at these
people.
nerds.
And like, I know, it's just like, I love themed everything. Like, I love themed restaurants. I love themed whatever. But it's like, when it comes to a wedding, like, if you're going to have all these people out here, especially if you're going to put it on a TV show, it's like, at least do it tastefully. That wedding that I was just talking about with the fairy in the night, like, it looked like something straight out of something you would see at medieval times.
Yeah.
The restaurant.
Uh-huh.
We joust. 1-800 we joust. It's like,
If the bride and groom got on horses and joust each other and one of them had to fall off the horse, I'm sorry, but that'd be dope. Like, boom. like, like, say the groom knocked his bride off the horse and just start, yeah, bitch, that's what you get. You don't mess with the evil knight. That'd be dope. Bride's wearing her dress. She just knocked on her ass.
I mean, if you're only going to wear that dress once and you just want to go out in style.
You might as well have a battle.
But it was just so, like, cringy. I don't know. Like, I don't like themed wedding. I don't like it. I've never seen one done well, and I don't think anyone would ever do it very well.
Unfortunately, they've turned out worse than better, I guess.
I love cosplaying. I love the nerd culture, but damn. It's like, I don't know. I don't want to say the wrong thing here, but, like, it's tacky.
Yeah.
I can't put it any other way. It's just tacky, and I don't like seeing it. And more than that, I don't like seeing it being publicized on national TV. Like, the cosplay culture is a joke. Like, look at these nerdy couples getting married. Like, no, shut up, you know?
Yeah.
If those people want to do that, let them be happy. Don't
like,
publicize that and just make it seem like it's so stupid. You might think it's tacky, but putting it on all over the national television, being like, look at these cosplayers.
Yeah, it's like nerds are finally cool in 2020. But when these things show up on like BuzzFeed or the news, it's just driving back this otaku cosplay culture back 10 years again. It's like, yeah, conventions are cool, but look at these nerds getting married as Superman and Wonder Woman. First of all, Wonder Woman's Batman's girl. Get it right, Fox News. All right? Batman?
Right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, Wonder Woman's kind of like a side chick because Batman was messing around with Catwoman, messing around with
all kinds of women.
Ra's al Ghul's daughter. But, you know, we're not going to get into that because Bruce Wayne was slanging that dick. So, anyways, we're not going to talk about Bruce Wayne's escapades. Oh, but speaking of that.
Oh, God.
Speaking of Bruce Wayne, I was watching this one video that kind of went viral about this wedding, right? And you know, at every ceremony, the pastor's like, is there anyone that has anything to say why these two shouldn't be married? Batman showed up. Batman popped out. Hey, I disagree with this wedding. And Batman just broke up the wedding. And then the pastor's just like, okay. Is there anyone else? Superman comes running down the aisle.
I need to see this video.
Oh, and then after that, man, they just went from DC to Marvel. Iron Man shows up. I don't agree with this wedding. It's like, y'all just mixing up everybody.
Oh, jeez.
What's next? Like the cast of
Green
Hey
Lantern.
Arnold? Hey Arnold's going to show up with his football head, the Rugrats. And the wedding went from serious to funny to like, oh my God, because they kept having more characters come through.
Jesus Christ.
And it just became a joke. And I was like, it was funny, but now it's like, damn.
Is Blue's Clues going to show up and tell me where the clue is?
Steve's going to show up. We're going to figure out Blue's Clues. He's going to start singing.
Who can tell me what's wrong with this wedding?
Exactly. And I was rocking with them at first, but as more special guest cartoon appearances showed up, I was like, wow. Wow.
Look, guys, at the end of the day, all we're saying is you shouldn't rush into getting married, especially if you know you're not ready for it. Don't be pressured into these social norms and these whatever norms that you hear from time to time and see on social media and stuff like that. Like, if you're not ready for marriage, don't do it. Because I personally know people who have gotten engaged and ended up not getting married because they found out being engaged wasn't the way to go. And those same people, hate each other now in
They're
real
not even
life.
together anymore.
Not even together anymore.
Damn.
So, but I also know on the opposite of that spectrum, people who did go through getting married very early for no reason at all, except for maybe being like an opportunity for them. Those people are miserable together.
Yep.
I see it time and time again. It's like people just make these excuses like, oh, we got married at a young age because I needed my green card, or I needed to do something, this and that, whatever. Like, I needed this for my job, or I needed whatever the case may be. They get married and then they are just miserable. And I hate that. And they hurt each other time and time again. They cheat on each other. They do all kinds of things. And I'm not saying like every marriage is going to be like that, but make sure it's something that you want. Because like I said, I come from a place where I'm used to my grandparents being married for 50 plus years. Yeah. I've seen marriages last for aeons, for lack of better words. And those don't just happen every single day. Those happen because marriage was right for that couple. Marriage was right for that circumstance and everything. But you can't just get married and luck out. There's no such thing as luck. So unless you really, really want that, don't do it.
Yeah. I feel what you're saying about not rushing. I too have friends that got engaged and never ended up getting married, and they broke up. Mm-hmm. They learned that they hated each other in the end. Mm-hmm. It's just they were going with the motions. They were dating for so long and figured the next step was to get engaged and hopefully get married. Through their engagement, they realized they weren't as compatible as they thought. Mm-hmm. They now hate each other as well. They're not on speaking terms. Mm-hmm. As for myself, I've been in a lot of long-term relationships. Mm-hmm. I've been with someone for 6+ years. I was with someone else for 2 years. Within these times, a lot of my peers were like, oh, why aren't you guys getting engaged? Why aren't you guys getting married? I'm glad I didn't just rush it, because the person I was with for 6+ years, I don't even speak to them anymore. Mm-mm. We kind of left on some mutual terms. Mm-hmm. We just had different views in life. Mm-hmm. I'm not mad at it, and the other person, we kind of left on bad terms. But again, I'm just thinking about, if I just said, hey, let's get married because we've been together for so long, I'd be miserable right now. Because that first person, she just wanted to have kids. She was willing to settle. I wasn't. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I don't see myself raising kids right now.
Right.
Update on her. She has like 3 kids now. 3 badass kids. And I'm glad I'm not their father. Mm-hmm. So she hates her kids. She has terrible, naughty-ass kids. Mm-hmm. And she's like, you're lucky that these aren't your kids to deal with.
And you have to be ready for that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. When it comes to marriage, I take it seriously because I've seen how people can be together when it comes to like 50+ years, 20+ years, whatever the case. A lot of people are together for that long, but they're unhappy with each other.
Yeah.
You can't have generations and generations of family members and kids and stuff like that. You can't raise generations that way if you hate each other.
Yeah.
I couldn't see us even being together for that long if we hated each other and we raised kids together. Imagine the hate within our our family and stuff like that, because they see us hating each other, then they end up hating their spouses and so on and so forth.
You teach your kids to lower their standards, and that's a great point, because I have a lot of friends who complain about their significant other.
Right.
Like, oh God, this bitch got the whole week off of work. I gotta be with her all week.
And during this quarantine, it's like,
especially during quarantine,
like, I gotta be home with you. No, and like, I've never complained being home with you.
Yeah, it's like that is such a like eye opener. Like, wait. You don't like spending time with your significant other?
You don't like spending time with your kids?
That speaks volumes. You made some messed up choices in your past. Like, you don't like being around your kids or your significant other. Like, you messed up somewhere.
You rush to get married to this person that you don't like being with?
Mm-hmm.
What's the point?
I just never got that. I'll see people post about like, oh, it's guys' night out. So glad to be away from my spouse.
Why would you want to be away from the person that you vowed to be with for the rest of your life?
Mm-hmm. It's like, I get you got to spend time apart. That's one thing. But if you're just so excited to be apart from them.
Yeah.
I have friends that have bit the bullet and married because they didn't want to. And they hate it. I can tell. They just hate it.
You can enjoy someone's company, but does that mean you should get married with that person? A lot of y'all have been showing me that no, that's not true at all.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's been so many marriages amongst my peers that have shown me that that's not the way to go.
It's not, especially if you know that you don't want to be around that person. If quarantine happens and you got to be stuck at home with the family and kids, like, why would you need to be stuck anywhere?
Mm-hmm.
If you're stuck, then obviously you didn't need to have that in the first place.
Yeah.
But here you are being miserable, and that's sad to me.
It really is.
That's really sad.
It really is.
You're stuck with that person, and even if you don't want to be married to that person anymore, if you got kids with that person, I'm sorry, I got bad news for you. You got to be involved with that person in some way for a long time.
Yeah.
So be sure that that's exactly what you want to do with your life, because you can't just erase that person out of your life and just say, hey, I don't want you anymore. Let's go away. Go take the kids with you. Like, that's not going to happen. Unless you're just that shitty of a person.
Yeah. Facts.
After that, it's like, what's the point?
Yeah.
I don't get the point. So you just want to throw a grand party. Okay, you can do that anytime.
Yeah.
You don't have to get married to someone to throw a party. Do that regardless of who you're with or what you want to do. But like getting married, having families, like that has always been on the reserves for me, because I cannot fathom these things that people do. It's like you gotta be 100% sure that that's exactly what you want to do.
I've seen so many cosplay convention proposals, and on the surface, I'm happy for them. Like, oh, they're in love. He's proposing to her at a con. That's a nerd dream come true. But digging in my own experiences in life, I'm like, can I really be happy for them? I don't know the reason why. And I'm sorry, it sounds terrible, but the last few times I've seen cosplay convention proposals, I don't even clap for them anymore. I'm just like, are you sure that's what you want to do? Because people are caught up in the moment. They're excited. That's what they want to do. More times than less, it's not what they should do.
Right.
As we said earlier, people have this unrealistic timeline of when marriage should happen. I remember one of my old bosses telling me, oh, you've been with your girlfriend for a year. Shouldn't you guys be married by now? I'm like, wait, what kind of Oregon Trail life have you been living?
Exactly.
After a year, we need to be married? I'm sorry that your parents were raised on My Little House on the Prairie, but that's not how modern society works.
Exactly.
But this dude just kept drilling me. Well, I was taught if you're with someone for a year and you don't want to keep her, it's time to move on.
But then, okay, then it's like, if you don't like that person either, so then you're just wasting your time.
Yeah. I don't want to tolerate a person. I want to love a person and be with them because I love them, not because I'm tolerating them.
I don't want someone to just be there just on some, like, I need to be here. We gotta get along. We gotta want to be with each other, like on some quarantine shit. On top of that, live together. If you've never lived with that person, you're gonna be in some like rude awakening.
Oh, you gonna be.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna have a hard time being with that person if you've
you're
never
gonna
lived with
see
them.
dookie stains in their underwear that you didn't expect.
You're gonna see a whole new side of that person, because let me tell you, when you live with somebody and they can be totally comfortable and whatever, you will see some stuff that you don't want to see on some normal shit. So you can't handle that. If you cannot handle that, you don't need to live with that person. You don't need to get married. You don't need none of that shit with that person. Just leave them.
Yeah, you thought having roommates was bad, but imagine if your roommate is the person you're supposed to love and spend the rest of your life with, and they got doo-doo stains in their underwear, and they be drooling in bed, and they don't clean up after themselves, and it's just a whole nother life for you.
Matter of fact, move in before you get married so you can see how that person really is. Because honestly, when you wait till marriage to move in with somebody, that creates a whole nother problem with that person. It's just like, if you've never even seen them and when they're like not on like some kind of reserve around you, then you might not like what you see.
Oh yeah, you're gonna quickly learn that they've been holding in farts for years.
Yeah. And I've been with guys myself personally who were like, okay, we've been together for a couple months now. I think I can talk about, farting around you sometimes. I'm just like, how does that matter? Like, we all poop, we all fart, we all do these things. Why is that such a problem to you? And I'm just like, I've been farting all this time and you didn't even notice. So like, I don't know, like if you have that childish mentality in the back of your mind and you still think that way, then you don't need to get married.
Yeah, some people really be holding in their farts and poops. Like, they be going home.
I fart all the time.
They be going all the way home to fart and poop. How are you going to handle actual real-life situations, if you can't even fart and poop in someone's house?
How you gonna have a baby with that person? That baby poops and farts more than you do within the same household as your wife.
Uh-huh. Wow.
I hope you guys learned something from this because I'm not trying to seem anti-marriage and anti-relationship and stuff like that. I want you guys to be totally comfortable with what you're doing with your significant other, because getting married and having babies together is not what should be like the most important thing in your mind. The most important thing has to be that you can get to know this person, that you can learn to love that person no matter what they do, no matter who they are. If that's the person you really want to marry, you have to know enough about that person and love enough aspects about that person in order to get married to them, because otherwise you're just wasting your own time.
You're living a lie.
You're living a lie. And I don't like that. I really don't. Marriage is not something that I despise, not something that I could ever say that I would never do in my life. And I think that I'm at a point in my life where I would want to get married because I know a lot about a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
I've lived enough life. I've seen enough of what people do. And it's just something that should come to you. It's not something that you should be like forced to do.
Yeah.
If you don't feel comfortable doing it, don't do it.
Let's just wrap this up. Moral of the story: don't feel pressured. Don't rush to get married. It's a legal binding obligation. It's way easier to get married than it is to get divorced. I also have friends who are now going through divorces because they rushed their marriage. It is a mess. You can go to Vegas and get married within hours, but it will take you weeks and months to get divorced, depending on your situation, if you have kids and finances. So don't rush it because you're trying to get clout on Instagram or Facebook. It ain't worth it.
It's not. It's a serious thing, and I speak out against it because it's just like, just make sure that that's exactly what you want.
I've seen more negative outcomes from marriages within the cosplay community than positive. I'm sorry. It's just those are the statistics. Don't rush this fairy tale. I know it's hard enough for us cosplayers and weebs to even be in relationships, but don't rush it to that level.
If you really want to be with that person, if you really truly in your heart feel like this is the person you want to be with for the rest of your life, then do it. But don't just do it because it's something to do on a weekend, a gimmick, a come up, or whatever it is. It's not worth that. It really isn't.
Wow. I guess it's really hard to end this on a positive note. I thought we were going to have something to say nice.
Maybe if you had asked somebody else. But
But it's the truth, though. It's like so many cosplayers, so many otaku, so many anime nerds. We're so desperate for affection that we're blinded by it. We're so blinded by it that we will fall for anything.
yeah.
That's all I got to say. I've got no more fortune cookie wisdom for you. I'm fan service Renji.
I'm Shana Mostella.
We'll see you guys next week.
Bye.